Okay, so hi, I'm Dan Applequist.
Hi, Ada Rose Cannon.
And we're here from Samsung Internet. We're here to talk about Samsung Internet and WebXR and the Immersive Web. It's good to be back at King's Cross, which is such a great kind of I don't know, location inspiring space, location for filming, that kind of thing.
There's so much cool stuff here. Like I'd say, if people are in the London area, definitely recommend popping by. It's just a really cool space.
Yeah.
And I think they do lots of events here. But
yeah,
we're lucky enough for them to let us film here.
Yeah, and hopefully we're going to be doing some real life events here a little later in the year. Anyway, the thing that one of the topics that we started off with when we started this group when we started off in 2016, when we started talking to developers about Samsung Internet and web, and especially web technologies that we're focusing on, that we're putting a lot of energy into, was VR and AR on the web.
Yeah.
It's a topic that's close to my heart. I really have been interested in promoting this idea and excited about it, that we should be thinking about the web as a platform that can support VR and AR, as well as like flat, technologies. But tell us a little bit about, kind of your journey to VR and AR on the web, and what some of the history was.
All right. So I think like the story doesn't actually begin with VR and Samsung for me. Like the story for graphics on the web really starts with like the introduction of WebGL.
Right.
Like when WebGL landed on the web, it was just kind of mind blowing. Like, because until then the web was majority only for documents. Like YouTube was just starting. Like we were seeing a bit of video, but until then it was mostly documents.
Right.
And the ability for the web to be a medium for games kind of took quite a few years to grow out of that. Like WebGL has had this like very slow surge of adoption.
We've seen that for a lot of web technologies, where it's a slow start, and then we start to see it emerge more and more and gain more and more mainstream adoption.
Yeah, I'd say that's a common story for the web. Like when new web APIs come around, they're often like underutilized, or like because they're usually slightly more restricted than native, either due to privacy reasons or the necessity of having to support multiple platforms.
Yeah.
And so it takes developers a while to realize how it can be utilized effectively. And I think the same happened with WebGL. But what was really amazing is that when the current era of like VR devices came out, so starting with the Oculus DK1, it really inspired people to think like, okay, like we could build a VR-enabled web, like this like super sci-fi concept of connected virtual reality environments. I mean, that's like, it's the dream of so many sci-fi novels.
Right.
And yeah, the web is ripe to be the medium for that.
That's not just a kind of space that's not just one single platform, much like the web itself is not just one single platform.
Precisely, yeah.
But that allows you to traverse it from space to space in the same way that you do in the web.
So the real dream of the web is like being able to build something once and have it supported on multiple platforms. So you can build a VR experience once and have it work on lots of VR headsets, or build an AR experience and have it work on both handheld augmented reality and headsets.
Right.
And yeah, so that was, I think those were like the thinking that went into the development of the first like APIs for getting VR on the web.
Which was?
This was the Web VR API,
right,
which is now deprecated.
Right.
It got replaced by WebXR. But Web VR was really exciting because it was the first time people took WebGL content. So this is not HTML, CSS, this is WebGL, and used it to immerse the users in the web, and it was pretty magical.
I remember we did a little bit of work with a
BBC.
company called, with BBC and a company called Good Boy Digital,
Yeah.
to help them build this Doctor Who Into the Time Vortex VR, get it working on Samsung devices, get it working on browsers that implemented the WebVR spec, and that was one of the reasons I felt like that was so exciting was it fit together with kind of the ethos of trying to get it into the hands of as many people as possible.
I say
So
it was
not, go
really
ahead.
amazing with like following that on with like the Samsung Gear VR, which is a headset Samsung doesn't support anymore, but at the time was amazing. Like it really democratized access to virtual reality, because then anyone with like a Samsung S series phone could use this relatively inexpensive headset to have a really good VR experience.
Right.
And Samsung Internet was supporting the WebVR API on there, and that's actually what brought me to Samsung. Like, I was hired as someone with graphical and VR experience, graphic and VR experience in the web, to help promote to developers the ability of the Gear VR to support virtual reality.
But fast forward to now, and I think we're more, you mentioned XR.
Yeah.
The whole idea of XR is combining technologies of virtual reality and augmented reality in one platform.
Yeah.
So, where are we now?
So about 4-ish years ago, when augmented reality devices started to become more viable. So like amazing leaps in computer vision have enabled real-time augmented reality on handheld devices. And that's kind of what made us realize that WebVR wasn't going to make it. So we started again with a new API that was designed out the box to be extensible and to support virtual reality and augmented reality and any other devices that may come in the future. So it's
Right.
it's designed to be abstract enough that when you build something with it and a device that comes along with 2 screens or 3 screens, 5 screens, or one device had 90 screens in it. Some of the standalone like 3D displays divide the display into 90 individual screens, and it works with the way WebXR is designed. That works out the box without any changes needed to the code, which is kind of a smart design.
And it's going to support a individual, devices, like say in this kind of mode where you're looking through the device, but also supporting mixed reality headsets, that kind of thing.
So previously, I built a demo which lets you place, it lets you build a roller coaster on your furniture. I'll put a link in the description. It's just a nice little demo, but I built that without having any access to an XR headset to test on. But I built it in a way that was generic to the WebXR device API. I didn't make any assumptions about the device being used, but I was able to send it to a friend of mine who had a Microsoft HoloLens 2, and they were able to test it in Microsoft Edge on the HoloLens, which supports WebXR.
Right.
And they were just like, yep, it works great out the box. Like, I didn't have to make any code changes. It's really powerful. So it lets you support such a wide variety of devices.
So what are some of besides the basic functions of like virtual reality and augmented reality, kind of what are some of the things that you've been working on, in standards to support kind of advanced user experience on?
So I'm co-chair of the Immersive Web Working Group and Community Group in the W3C. And these are the groups that work on the WebXR device API and all the smaller standards that surround it for adding additional features. And there is just a lot of features in the pipeline. So one of the ones that's just landing in browsers at the moment, it's still pretty experimental, but it's very cool and you can try it out, is the depth API. So it gives you a depth buffer of the screen. so that you can use it to, well, actually the main use case is that so you can occlude a content on the screen. So you could place an object on, say, on a sofa, then I could take the camera behind the sofa, and the sofa would then occlude the virtual object I'd placed,
Right.
which really greatly improves immersion in the environment.
Yeah, in augmented reality in particular.
Yeah, because then you have real objects like getting in front of and blocking the view of virtual objects. So you can have, like, you can make a little critter and have it running between people's legs. It's just a very cool one that I'm very excited by. There's also ones which have been in the browser like a little bit longer, which are very cool. Is the lighting estimation API. So it gives you like the color and direction of the main lighting source, and also like spherical harmonics for like the other lights in the scene, and also a reflection cube map of the environment. So you can have a 3D object in augmented reality that reflects the environment around you and appears to be lit in the same direction, and you can give it a shadow that kind of matches everything else in the scene. It's incredibly powerful, and when combined with the depth API, it lets you create an object, a virtual object that is indistinguishable from a real object. Yeah, it's extremely cool.
And when you think you can do this stuff just by using the browser on your device, you don't need to download any special software or anything like that. This is the whole kind of point. I think it's amazing.
Yeah. As a developer, the experience is great. Like, you don't need to download special like 3D programs or any proprietary software. You build it like you'd build a website. So like these demos I'm talking about, which I built them using A-Frame, which I contribute quite a bit of code into.
Right, and that's an open source.
It's an open source project that's really good and lets you build 3D scenes using HTML.
Right.
It's really fantastic. I'll put a link to A-Frame in the comments as well.
Which is built on top of?
Which is built on top of 3JS, which is a extremely like, I say old as in it's been around for a long time, but it's still super actively maintained. Like it's been growing and growing and growing for like 10 years now. It's huge and has a fantastic community, and it's 3JS. Like 3JS is fantastic. And so yeah, I really like doing them. But on top of like the really good developer experience, it's great if you want to like deliver the software. Because like a really annoying thing with shipping a lot of VR and AR stuff is that you have to go through an app store for a company, and you have to create a new app and send it to each individual app store, like the Play Store, the Apple Store, the Oculus Store.
Yeah.
And build it for the web. You build it once, you stick it up. Doesn't cost you anything apart from the hosting fees. You don't have to ask anyone's permission. You don't have to like send it to be reviewed. You just put it online, send people a link, and then they can use it immediately.
Yeah.
And if you want to make changes, you just push the changes live. Like you don't have to like submit your app to the App Store and wait for the feedback. Like you just
which is really it's the web, exactly. And so that's exciting.
So these are the exact same arguments we use for progressive web apps. For all the reasons that progressive web apps are really good and really powerful, it applies double for WebXR stuff.
Yeah.
And the trade-off here is like, because obviously not everything is like boom, boom, boom. The trade-off is that there is some overhead with doing graphics in the web. The web is an abstraction layer. There are no zero-cost abstractions. But these costs are getting smaller. So now you can use WebGL2, which is more performant than WebGL1. There's a lot more interesting stuff you can do there. But coming soon is WebGPU, which is still maybe like a year or two off. But when that comes out, it's going to like decrease the overhead even further and letting you get like almost native level performance through the web, which is incredible. And I really look forward to seeing what people build with WebXR. Like it's it's an exciting time right now. It's a new boon.
So if you want to find out more about WebXR, you can follow our blog.
Yeah, I'm always talking about it. I probably talk about VR and AR more than I should do.
I think following you on Twitter might be a good
yeah, probably,
reason.
yeah.
And you are?
I'm Ada Rose Cannon on Twitter.
And I'm Torgo on Twitter, and you can also follow Samsung Internet on Twitter. And you can visit developer.samsung.com/internet for links to our blog and our Medium.
Yep.
And what else? What other resources can we point people to?
We have a page on LinkedIn where we retweet our articles. We're not massively active there. Obviously YouTube as well, like here where you're watching us now. So
like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe, etc. If you want to watch more of our videos, I think we're going to try and put out more video content if we can.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're going to try and.
So is there a standards place where people can get
that's
engaged
a good point.
as well?
Yes. So the GitHub URL for all the work we're doing in the Immersive Web groups is github.com/immersive-web. You can contribute to the issues, or you can give feedback. Try out some of the newer APIs. Have a look and see what's currently being actively developed. And try out some of the more experimental features, see if they work for you. If they work for you, let us know. If they're not quite working for you, like if they're missing a feature or they don't work in a way that's actually usable for you, then tell us that too, because that's great feedback to know.
We're always trying to encourage people, developers especially, to get involved in the web standards process and feedback to us, because that's how we make web standards better. That's how we make the web better. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that's everything. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.